Welcome back to Restaurantopia. I'm here with Anthony Hamilton.
What's happening?
My name's Dave Ross. We're missing a partner,
Is that
Brian.
what it is? I felt like something was missing. Like we have a void here somewhere, and I couldn't put my finger on it. But now that you say it, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's what we're missing. So peace and love to Brian Seitz.
Always.
He's fine. He's just a busy guy, and
he is
he'll
too.
be back soon.
Yeah, he is too.
But anyhow, we're here, and we're going to record some beautiful pod for all you restaurateurs out there. And Anthony today is going to be talking about reducing turnover and best practices.
Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restaurantopia.
Great. Well, let's get into the topic, man.
All right,
You
let's
ready?
do it, buddy.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that happened to me recently, and I wrote about one in a newsletter, but I know not everybody reads the newsletter, so I got to talk about this. It's too profound.
If you're not reading the newsletter, read the newsletter.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
And if you're not getting the newsletter, please send us a message.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll get you on the list.
That's it. It's all good stuff, man, but I always try to put a little lesson in there. And so you probably know the story, but my daughter Katerina, 19 years old, amazing kid. You know, I'm going to boast a little bit as a parent. She's a fantastic human being, hard worker, punctual, accountable, responsible, straight A student, all the extracurriculars. Gets a job at a bakery, right? A corporate grocery store bakery. She's stoked because her best friends work there. So on cloud nine that she got the job. Fantastic. Exactly what she wanted to do. Work with cakes, decorate, blah, blah, blah. So she shows up for her orientation. It's 20 minutes long. 20-minute video. Okay? No one in the room with her. They come in 5 minutes after the video ends. She's sitting there in awkward silence. And they say, "Oh, you all wrapped up?" And she says, "Yeah, I think so." And they say, "Great. Here's your paperwork for your payroll." She fills it out. And they send her home. Your first day's tomorrow. Her orientation was 35 minutes long. Right? Okay. She got a really bad feeling from this. Not to mention they gave her a uniform at the end of this orientation on her way out the door. They didn't have the right uniforms in stock. They gave her a long sleeve button-down shirt. And they gave her a beanie cap, a really thick cotton beanie cap with their logo on it instead of a ball cap or a skull cap or anything like that you would wear in a kitchen. So she's got this long sleeve shirt and a beanie cap, and she's got to tuck her hair into it. And then they gave her some shoe covers, but they didn't have the right uniforms in inventory.
They explain that to her, or they
Yeah,
just...
they straight up told her, "Hey, we're just always running out of stuff."
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother topic.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right. So she goes home and she's crying. She doesn't know how to get in the building. She doesn't know who her manager is. She don't know who her coworkers is. She doesn't know anything about the company. And now she's got to wear this ridiculous uniform. So she's all night high anxiety, right? Didn't sleep well. Goes into her first day. Again, doesn't know how to get in the building. Doesn't know how to clock in. Doesn't know who to report to. Shows up in a bakery. The person that was supposed to train her called off. So no one was designated to train her. Didn't know who her manager was. Never met him. She just jumped in and is like, "Hey, I'm here to work. I got hired." They're like, "Okay, we'll do this." About a half hour later, her manager comes in, unbeknownst to her, it was her manager, and starts yelling at her about doing the wrong thing. Right? Say, "No, don't do it like this. You got to do it like this." Okay. So she finished her shift, comes home. "I got to find a new job." Okay, no problems. On her third day, she's scheduled to close. Never been trained. She's not had any formal training yet. She's scheduled to close. She called me at 9:30. She calls me Teej. She says, "Hey, Teej, how do I close a kitchen down?" I'm like, "Excuse me?" She's like, how do I shut the ovens off and stuff?" I'm like, "Well, you're going to have to FaceTime me." So I have to walk her through her closing duties, right?
Wow.
I do.
Right.
This is a corporate grocery store chain. They have at least 75 stores. I would say they're $1 billion company, right? So she gets through it. She's like, "I'm not taking out the trash because I don't know where the dumpster is. I don't know how to get back in the building. I don't even know where the clean rags are. I can't wipe this down." She's like, "You know what? They didn't show me. I don't care." And she left, which is very uncharacteristic for her.
Right. Again,
3 high anxiety nights in a row. She worked 4 shifts there. She no longer works there. She called in the one day, she called off, and then she called in the next day and says, "I just can't do it. I just can't do it with you guys." They lost out on the most amazing employee.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell them this, but she'll stay there for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like throughout college, her whole college tenure, she's that type of loyal.
Right.
She would have been their best employee. She would have been the best at customer service, the best at production, because she's wired like that.
Yeah.
And guess what they didn't do? You already know it, right? 35-minute orientation, 0 training. How's that do for your turnover?
Ugh. I mean, what's inevitable?
Yeah, of course,
I mean,
right?
the fact that she made it 4 shifts is amazing.
That's probably because of me.
You know what I mean? Like-
Probably because of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. She probably would have quit before she even started had she not listened to me. But I'm like, "Listen, you got to stick it out. You never know what can happen, right? Give it a week and see what it goes." So she did.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
That's unfortunate, man.
It is. But that's what I want to talk about with turnover. A lot of times we look at this, and I know a lot of organizations get this, and I certainly don't mean to insult anybody. But when we talk about turnover issues, this is square one, isn't it? Had they taken the time to orient her, give her the company history, show her around, maybe a little gift basket, a proper uniform, give her a warm hug, a hospitality they always talk about, give her a mentor, even a contingency mentor because her primary one didn't show up that day. Maybe her manager sits in an orientation. I don't know. But you know what they say is, we're too busy. We're too busy. We can't do that. That's what
We're short-staffed. Really?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. That's what they say. And I'm like, I understand you're caught in this cycle, but you got to break that cycle because you lost out on the most amazing employee for no reason because you were too busy.
Right.
But the problem is this too busy that lended you to not do a good orientation, lended you to be being perpetually short-staffed. Short-term relief and not orient or cause long-term pain, right? It always happens. So you got to break that cycle. You got to invest the time. You got to get these people oriented. You got to make them feel comfortable. You got to train them properly. We know that, right?
Right.
Then why is it still not getting done?
It's hard.
It is.
It's work. It takes being organized. It goes back to, Brian's quote from the first episode, are you working in your business or on your business?
Yeah, that's so true.
It's all those things. It's not one thing. People are stressed out right now, but they're causing their own stress.
Yeah. I go back to what our mentor said the one time, and he says, if you hate yourself, this is the way you're going to do it.
Right.
And I'm like, what the hell does he even mean? He stopped a seminar I was teaching. He's like, if you hate yourself, he's talking to restaurateurs. If you hate yourself, this is the way you go about business. And they all kind of looked at each other like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
He goes, because you saved yourself the headache right now because you didn't have the time. So you didn't take the time to chalk your day full of welcoming this person in. But now you're going to be putting out fires every day down the road because this person doesn't know what to do. They're not feeling comfortable. They're going to be a problematic employee. They're going to have troubles, all that jazz. You could have mitigated and nipped this in the bud almost to 100% had you just done things effectively, right?
No, and think about Katerina's got friends.
Yeah.
All of a sudden she has a delightful
Referrals.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the labor issue is real right now.
Of course.
Especially everywhere, but especially in restaurants.
Yeah. And it has been.
Yep. But you're just perpetuating the problem by not having these things set up.
Correct. And it's not having a discipline in the moment to find out how to carve out time. And I know some people are like, well, that's impossible. I can't do it. I'm just here to tell you, you got to find a way. You got to make it possible.
Well, no, you don't have to. But you're just going to deal with the problem.
That's fair.
I mean, we're not here. I don't want to be preachy. So
of course, right.
I mean, like,
and that's the thing I always worry about.
Listen, hey, do it however you want to do it.
Yep.
But you're going to, suffer those consequences or deal with those consequences.
Fair point, isn't it? Yeah. It goes back to everything. It's a discipline equals freedom thing. Yeah. And we talk about that ad nauseum. If you have the discipline to do the work up front, you have the freedom to enjoy yourself in a smooth culture on the back end.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, and we know now, and we've seen this proof, like the companies that have the best culture, not just in restaurants, but everywhere, typically have the least trouble finding employees, don't they? Based on maybe what you said earlier. She has friends, it's a referral, it's a delightful experience. People are claiming to work there.
We've seen it live through the pandemic of people that came out and had employees and had, that have the right things set up. The way you start in a company, I think, is more important than people give it credit for.
Yeah, for some reason we got away from that. Didn't we get away from that for some reason? Like, I don't know, if you worked at a fast food joint in high school, like they put you through that orientation, like this is a complete waste of time. But it's not. It really isn't.
Right.
Now, maybe the cheesy videos were, but at the same time, like it's all very important stuff, man. Don't underestimate the importance of a good orientation plan.
You'll have to share your Hospitality Academy video in the show notes. You have to give that to Brian so he could put that in there. Don't you have that one? I can't remember. Was it Burger King or what was
the Wendy's one?
Or was it Wendy's?
Yeah. I love that one, actually. See, that one was so cheesy in the time, but now it's so retro and cheesy that it's awesome. Right? Yeah. So it came around full circle somehow. Right. But yeah, it's so rad. Yeah. If you showed me that during an orientation, I would laugh my ass off the entire time, wouldn't you?
Oh, so good.
Yeah, because it was so far off trend that they thought they were being on trend, right? Like, mid-'80s rap, dude. It was done by Wendy's employees. Yeah. Bad stuff, right? I was trying to bait you into saying that it's expensive. You said that it's hard or in taking the time. I was trying to bait you into saying it's expensive.
Right.
Because one of the points I want to make is that we got to stop looking at training and orientation as being an expense. It's an investment.
Yeah.
There's a clear, profound return on said investment.
What is that return, Anthony? Do you have a stat?
No, I don't. I don't.
Sure you do.
Why'd you put me? What is it? You tell me.
You know what the stat is.
What's
it cost to turnover employee?
Oh, $5,634.
Exactly. Yeah. And 27 cents.
That's what it is. Yeah, no one buys into that, but I trust the folks at Cornell, right?
Yeah.
Like Cornell did a longitudinal study on this, like in a lot of, and it's tough because a lot of it's gray.
It makes complete sense. I mean, just think about it. Like,
even if it's not $5,634, maybe it's $3,201.
It's way more than the cost to train them properly.
There's no question. No question. But you think about the stuff you have to do for turnover. Now you got to go back to the search, which Indeed's not turning up. At Craigslist, you don't want to be there. That's like the dark web now, from what I understand. That's where we used to get all our employees. Yeah. But wherever you're recruiting, like they're not turning up the interviewees or candidates like they used to. So now you got to waste this time spinning wheels in a frustrating process. And then you got to sign up for 50 interviews and 2 people show up, right? If you're lucky. And then you got to go through the intervention or the interview, the vetting, all that. And then you get to the training orientation. So it's like, well, you're spending way more time now.
Sure.
You should just go back and do it. If you get that good employee like a Katarina, like latch onto her, you know, do everything you can to keep her. And I'm trying not to speak from a biased parental standpoint, but
no, but you have some insight into who she is. Like, you know, she would be an amazing employee.
Absolutely.
You know that.
Yeah.
You know, and even if somebody potentially isn't, like, they should have the same opportunity as somebody that is.
Well, no question, especially if you're short-staffed. But most people can be molded. Yeah. Most people can be taught, or motivated and taught. I mean, I have. You know, I've been motivated. Absolutely. I've been coached. I've been trained, as have you, right? We all can be. So anyway, that's the first part of it. The second part, obviously, we know is training, right? And this is the back end of Katarina's story is training. She didn't get trained. So the orientation was poor. The training was poor. So I talked to my friend yesterday who works at a very well-to-do restaurant in the Cleveland area. And she was saying that they have a problem with keeping staff. And I was asking her about it. She was at my house yesterday. I was talking to her extensively, and we always talk shop. And she had mentioned that they hire people and they don't train them, and then they yell at them, and that might be the primary reason. And I'm thinking, you don't say. So you're having staff problems, but then when you hire people, you don't show them what to do and then yell at them for doing it wrong. And the reason why I brought that up is because I experienced that throughout my career. And I did it. That's the worst part. I did it. Right. Like, wait, you had experience at this restaurant, but you don't know how to do this? Like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Right? Why would I assume anything?
Right.
Right? So you got to spend the time training. And I laughed at her situation because she's like, I just can't figure it out. And I'm like, well, maybe you should train him, or just not yell at him all the time. Like, maybe that would work too. I know it's times are tough and it's frustrating and all that jazz, but you really got to put yourself in the other person's position and think how you would feel if you were at a party where you didn't know anybody, aka work without orientation and training. So you're at this party, this collection of people, and you don't know anybody, and then someone just comes up to you and starts yelling at you. Are you going to stick around?
Not long.
No. I'll be like, yeah, I'm just going to go to my house and watch TV, right? Or, metaphorically speaking. Or, yeah, I'm just going to find another job because it's my market right now. I can go pick my place to work.
Right.
You know, so you got to juxtapose yourself and really have that empathy and see how this is impacting, or how it would impact me if I were in their shoes. Now, go back to when you were a timid 17-year-old or 18-year-old starting a new job with new faces. You're worried about so many things. And then someone just comes and yells at you.
Yeah.
That's a toxic work environment 101. No questions asked. So I couldn't ignore that either. And that's really what spurred me to talk about this and unfold this topic a little more. But we could talk about retraining too. You ever been retrained?
Sure.
Yeah. And a lot of it you've done yourself here. I've been with you on some professional development retraining where we go out and we seek seminars and we seek things. But there's a lot you can do in a restaurant, right? You really got to keep somehow, some way. And I talked to a restaurateur the other day, and I thought this was brilliant. They do what we do with the KIPs. So they do every other week, they do a 30-minute Zoom call on like a Thursday morning, and it's voluntary. And their managers, they're like 14, 15 units. Their managers can sign up for it. And they do a 30-minute info class. And they can sit in front of their computer and eat, drink coffee, whatever they want to do. They can be tuned in, they can be fully engaged, however they want to do it. It's voluntary. And I thought that was brilliant because they have Zoom, so they don't have to go anywhere. They can do it right from their office in a lull. They schedule it right before lunch, you know. And they talk through things like how to work Excel, how to type a letter, or how to deal with Microsoft Word, or they deal with maybe some higher level cerebral management techniques and things like that. And I thought that was awesome.
And this is specifically for managers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only for their managers,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
So they're going to flesh that out, and they're going to build it out to employees and stuff too. But they want.
I don't know of any restaurant doing that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
No, it was cool, and I was flabbergasted because I'm like, oh my god, like that's exactly what you need to do. Yeah. But then you wonder,
who is this?
Winking Lizard. So I was doing, I was doing their surf safe for them. So I went back and did some retests on late Monday afternoon and did a couple retests. And I was talking, they have an individual in charge for training for the entire corporation.
Yeah.
And that's her job. Yeah. So she's implemented these tactics. And obviously when I found that out, her and I talked shop, and I learned a lot from her. So this relationship has actually been pretty good. It's funny where you can learn shit, isn't it? Like you never know where you're going to end up, right? So I thought that was a really profound thing, and it doesn't cost them much. They just got to get someone in front of the computer and talk for 30 minutes, and then you just have a couple people listen.
Yeah,
that's not a huge investment.
No,
and most people have a 15 or 20 minute lull during their day where they could sit down and take in some of this information, if not the full 30, right? So I thought that was cool. But you know what they're doing though is they're honing the edge of their managers. They're keeping everybody competitive. They're keeping everybody refreshed. Create job flexibility, right? So if they know more, if they're an assistant manager and they know more about Excel, maybe that was the missing piece for them to become a general manager, right? So this is all self-serving for both the organization and the employee. Not to mention it demonstrates a tremendous amount of care. And I do this with ServSafe. I mean, you saw it the other day. These people were driving in, their company's paying for them to get training and get certification that makes them a more valuable employee. That bodes well for everybody,
Yeah.
right? So these retraining mechanisms are very, very important. You increase skills in productivity. They become better at their jobs. They feel more valued. They get, they stick around a little longer, right? So I think that was too good for me to ignore.
Right.
And I don't know that we talked about retraining before, but we never gave specific examples,
Right.
So if I were to do run a restaurant now, I would definitely focus on that. There's no question.
Well, and it also goes back to the quote, we've talked about in previous episodes. I believe it was the episode on the 7 books every restaurateur should read.
Yeah.
And we talked about your success will never outpace your self-development.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you think about that, it's like, okay, if you just keep doing the same thing every day and you have whatever level of success you're at, you're never going to be more successful by staying where you're at.
Right.
You got to get better.
It's like lifting weights.
Right.
Like if you don't increase the weight, you're not going to get stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
Same
thing, man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great point, Dave. I wasn't on that episode. You guys didn't invite me.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I cried.
I remember.
I'm sure I was probably teaching or something. I have no idea.
I don't even think we told you we were doing it.
No.
We just needed an episode and
You guys
jumped in the closet.
You guys do what you do. Yeah. That's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's beneficial that we mix it up a little bit. It adds texture.
Yeah. Brian and I made a pact last week that we will not allow any of us to do a solo episode anymore.
Is that what it is?
Like, there's 3 of us, 2 of us have to get on. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine. So anyway, let's wrap this thing up. So how do you get it done, man? How do you do this, right? So I'm a big proponent, and we talked about this in a never stopping, the continual improvement cycle and all that jazz. Just itemize what you do now. Go back through and list all your assets that you have as far as this is concerned. Itemize them. See where you can improve each one. And then see which ones are effective, see which ones aren't effective. And maybe the ones that are ineffective, you improve or you reiterate more often, right? So those sorts of things, it can be that easy. And then I definitely develop a strategy and a subsequent calendar behind it and find out what I want them to learn, above and beyond. This is a professional development stuff that I just referenced.
Right.
Also, ask them what they want to learn. That part's just as important in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because now all of a sudden you're layering it. So now not only are you doing this for them, but you're asking for their input on doing this.
Yeah, and I also think that helps you set up expectations too. And it helps you set up because you may be thinking somebody is at this part of their journey and knowledge of your business or how they run things, but then when you actually ask them and they may be further along or they may be further behind what you think.
Yeah.
And then you can appropriately do that. I mean, I love, with some of our sales reps here, like I'm always at the beginning of the year, I'm always asking them, like, what do you want to develop this year? What do you want to get better at? What are the things you feel you're strong at? What are the things you want to get developed in? And then we have it on our goal sheet, and it's something that we focus on throughout the year.
That's brilliant. So, identify your best and most willing trainers. And this is a big mistake that we often make, right? We say, well, so-and-so is the best grill cook we have. They should be the trainer. Have you talked to so-and-so? Do they know why they're so good? Or are they just gifted with certain muscle memory skills or coordination?
Right.
Maybe they're not the best trainer.
Oh, yeah.
Your best performer may not be your best trainer.
Yeah.
But so often in life, what we do is we say, you're the best, you're going to train.
Yep.
And maybe they're unwilling.
Yeah.
Maybe they're highly competitive. They don't want to give away their secrets.
Right.
So you really got to audit that situation and make sure, because maybe your best trainer is your best educator, which may not be your best performer.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, good point.
I'm a teacher. I know that.
I've experienced that firsthand. You've got people that are they're good at a certain thing, and then you want them to impart that, and you think, oh, they would be really excited about imparting their knowledge and experience and wisdom on a new person. And I've been in that situation where people are just like, they did it, and I never asked, and then I come to find out later, through the channels that they don't like doing that. And I was like,
it's like really? Ryan Tannehill.
I was like, really?
Yeah. Funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
But we just assume because they're high performers and
Sure.
they got their stuff together.
Sure.
But that's not their bailiwick, man. That's not what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm different. I love the mentor.
Right.
It's kind of what gets me going in restaurants.
Well, and we've talked about this, like,
Yeah.
Your history of, being in a certain restaurant. I think we were talking about moving into management. It was an episode of moving to management. And I asked you, I said, well, were you the best line cook, when you moved to the next level? And you're like, no, I wasn't the best one. But you had certain characteristics, certain personality, certain things that got you that opportunity.
Yeah,
I mean, no different in this.
I'm surprised you remember that. I'm
Oh, I
flattered.
do remember that.
Yeah, I'm flattered. But no, I wasn't. And I wasn't the best cook of all the chefs.
Yeah.
but I was well-rounded.
Right.
And I had different attributes that led me to be an effective leader, even though I wasn't the most talented.
Yeah.
Humility being first and foremost, because I knew these guys could like cook circles around me. So you have to own that, right? Like you got to understand, like, it's hard because you feel that they're gunning after your job, or you feel insecure, you feel like you have imposter syndrome, but you always got to rest on the fact that being in a position of leadership is so much more than just having one attribute.
Right.
It's a myriad of attributes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then lastly, the styles you could do it, in-person lecture base is just fine. Seminar format's great. Video conferences are great. You could do a hybrid, which I love this one, which is more of a video session or a Zoom session. And then there's an element of practice hands-on your own, because we know restaurant people are very hands-on-y, right? Yeah. So I love all that stuff. But to close this out, always remember, just because they should know doesn't mean they do. That's all I got, brother.
I love that. No, this is awesome, man. Thanks, Anthony, for bringing this to our attention. It's unfortunate that your daughter had to go through that experience for you to be motivated to do this. So that sucks, but it does hopefully, give you the ability to impart some of this on the listeners out there. And so get your training, get your orientation, get your onboarding going. If you need any help, we got some experts on staff that can help you out. Always reach out, restauranttopia.com. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody.
This is a high quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restauranttopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restauranttopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.
We are excited to announce the Restauranttopia VIP Text Club. Join by texting the word podcast to 844-928-4257. You will get access to exclusive content, industry news, deals, announcements, pro tips, and more. The VIP Text Club is an exclusive community of independent restaurant owners and professionals. Join today. Message and data rates may apply. Please check our website for our terms of service and privacy policy.
Yeah. Can't do shit about it. Let's start.
All right, let's do some pod. Actually, we should do a fucking sports podcast. That's what we should do.
Dude, I could talk about anything.
I know you can. I will wear that. So, okay, so I'm going to do founder's disease.
Yeah.
I have a practice session with Brian in the car.
Oh,
driving to Zanesfield. Yeah. We recorded 5 episodes.
Oh, shit. And none of them worked out.
None of them worked out.
Oh, stop. Are you serious?
Only because, Brian, as you're editing this, I want you to just know, I will not say I told you so, but I told you so.
The Rode mics.
We should have used the lapel mics on the chest.
Yep.
I feel like it would have worked. He was dead set on setting up a podcast studio in the car.
I love that, by the way.
And it was cool.
Yeah,
it was definitely cool.
Yeah.
But did not work.
Listen, it wasn't the outcome he was after. He just wanted to say he set up a podcast studio in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's rad.
It was cool.
It was. I'm sure it was.
And it made the drive fun. It made it go fast. Like we were having a blast. Like
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah,
sure.
So anyways, okay. Let's